Audio record of the history of the settlement of Pirates Rest by the faction known as the Crew. Volume 1, covering the period between the 7th of April-May 5500 and the 9th of April-May 5501. This recording is voiced by Beckmo Decapod, junior historian of the Planetary Archive of Tanalik. Our tribe grew soft. Our leaders forgot the ways taught by Galus and Nabai. Because they grew soft, when the blood machines came, they fell. Now we have to rebuild our tribe stronger than before, and the only way to do that is to return to the old ways. We are followers of Raidism. We worship the god of life, Galux, and the goddess of creation, Nabai. They conceal their truths beyond the reach of normal states of mind. It is their will that we take from the weak. We do not restrict our followers in dress or physical relations, though normally the couple takes the husband's last name. To us, owning slaves is honorable, and we allow the use and harvest of organs of our prisoners. There are only 5 of us left in our tribe. I am Grey Donkey, recording this so that if we perish there will be some record left of my tribe. I am accompanied by Red Alpaca, Rodabalu Kerbal, known as Pig, Tuska Neneno, known as Viper, and Red Minoka. Me and Alpaca are old, and I fear that there will not be enough when winter comes. I hope the young ones are able to do the right thing for the good of the tribe. But enough speculation about winter. It's spring, and we need to survive. We arrived here on the 7th day of the first quadrum. It's a good place and will serve as a base of operations until we get back on our feet. Pig, Viper, and Alpaca built us a hut by a rock, and Minoka and I set aside some land to grow rice, heel root, and smoke leaf. We finished just as the sun set over the horizon, and we rested in our shelter. We also landed with a rabbit, a chinchilla, and a husky. But I won't name them here. We aren't equipped to care for them for long. We spent the next 2 days planting our crops, and we ate the last of our food and went to gather berries from the nearby forest. Unfortunately, this lowered spirits, and I said some unkind words to Pig, who attacked me. We have made up now, and I regret my actions. Late in the night on the 9th, Viper sowed the last rice plant. However, we needed to wait for the rice to grow, and we still needed food. So we began hunting. Except Minoka, who stayed home and butchered the animals we hunted. On the 11th, we started building skull spikes. It has become clear that this will be the place that will be our home, so we should make it our own. We hadn't had the privilege to defeat any enemies as of yet, so we used the skulls from around our settlement. On the 12th, Viper shot a rat that attacked her. However, the main accomplishment of that day was the construction of 2 research benches, and with those we would start to research stone cutting. On the 13th, an exotic trade caravan arrived from the Neutrinum Coalition. We sold our chinchilla and used the money to buy Peach's investigations into collaboration. We also had enough food to finally build a fireplace and start cooking it. On the 14th, we constructed a storage room, and on the 15th, we began the rice harvest. But there was too much rice to harvest in one day. On the first day of summer, we finished the rice harvest. We got a good yield, and this could mean that survival is possible in this new place. But rice will only get us so far, so we ended up changing the rice patch into a corn and potato patch respectively. On the second day of summer, me and Minoka researched while everyone else sowed the new crops. Minoka may not help with the hunting and farming, but he helps with the cooking and researching and contributes in his own way. On the third day, we finished the stone cutting research. We decided to research complex clothing next. Once we finished planting the new crops, we built 2 new stone cutting tables. On the 4th day, Sparrow arrived. Sparrow was a cult escapee and followed the way of raidism, but other than that, we do nothing. As he approached, we saw that he had a surgical scar on his right arm, and his left was replaced with a writhing tentacle. According to him, he could die and resurrect himself 4 times, but the 5th would be permanent. Despite Sparrow being a follower of the truth faith, we were suspicious and sent him away. He seemed upset by this. Pig and Minoka began researching while Alpaca and I cut blocks from stone. All this before noon. It was a busy day, and it was about to get worse. A shambler approached, and this was without a doubt the work of Sparrow. Upset that we sent him away, this did not make us regret the decision. We can't have someone who sends the undead at us whenever they don't get their way. On the 5th day, the shambler approached our shack and attacked the rabbit, killing it, before turning his attention to us. We lined up with our weapons and managed to defeat it with the help of the husky. After that, we returned to work. On the 6th day of summer, we set up a plan for a wall around our settlement. We left space for more buildings and further expansion. We also welcomed a war merchant from the Alliance of Canby. We ended up sending them away with nothing and building more skull spikes. However, they did leave us a gift of a nerve spiker and a guest. Sam was a part of that caravan and got into a social fight with another caravaner, and was unable to follow her people off the map. We rescued her and set her in a spare corner of our barracks. She quickly recovered but refused to leave until she fully recovered. On the 8th day, Alpaca had a disturbing vision. But other than that, it was business as usual, which meant that we harvested our medicine, researched, and continued the long-term project of carving chunks from stone and building a wall. The 9th was more of the same, except for that I killed a rat that went manhunter. On the 10th, Sam was finally fully healed and departed to return to her people. I also said some unkind words to Minoka and drove us into a fight. I ended up getting hurt pretty bad, and I don't know if Minoka should be forgiven. But we're in a tough situation, and we need all the hands we can get. On the 10th, Minoka had a mental breakdown and slaughtered our husky. That husky was the last of our domesticated animals, and it would have been a great asset if we could have found it a mate. I know I said that I didn't want to get attached to the animals, but the husky made it through the first harvest and the start of her city. Her name was Penny, and she should be remembered. Nothing happened on the 12th, but on the 13th we got our first raid. A single Edekin from the Coco Tiet bit. We took our stand in the potato field, and we won the day. Fortunately, I was the only one injured, and I went to rest. This is also the day that Viper and Pig became lovers. It's a good match, and I'm happy to see that the future of our tribe is nearly secured. On the 14th, we began the potato harvest and finished research on complex clothing. We would choose the great bow as our next research. Later that day, another trade caravan arrived from the Neutrinum Coalition, but we would ignore them. On the 15th, our work continued. We worked all through the day, and thus fall began. On the first day of fall, we continued harvesting the potatoes. We also started construction on a chapel, and a grizzly bear decided that Alpaca was its next meal. She fled inside our hut, and it turned its attention to Pig. Seeing that it wouldn't leave us alone, we lined up and attacked it. Surprisingly, it retreated and we stood down, until it turned its attention on Viper. This time we downed it, and we went about our day while waiting for it to bleed out. When we did, we butchered it. On the second day, the potato harvest continued. At this point, we decided the potato patch was too big, and we decided that we needed to rework the growing zones again. On the 3rd, we received an offer to accept a deserter from the Empire. We have no love for the Empire, and had we been more established, we would have accepted it in a heartbeat. But we aren't well established right now and are in no shape to take on the Empire. So, with heavy hearts, we rejected their offer. But someday we will show the Empire the error of their ways. Pig went into a sad wander after that. On the 4th and 5th days, we continued harvesting potatoes and building our city. We finished harvesting the potatoes and started focusing on building the chapel. On the evening of the 5th, Pig had too much smoke leaf and had to be carried back to the hut. On the 6th day, we had a boom rat self-tame. We also finished the walls on the chapel and started construction on the roof and floors. That evening, we were attacked by man-hunting squirrels. This wasn't much of a big deal. We fought them off without trouble. On the 7th, Viper threw a bit of a fit and smashed up some things around our home. She eventually calmed down and we repaired the damage that had been done. We also started harvesting the corn and other crops that we needed to harvest before we could rework our crops. Later that day, Minoko went on a binge of our psychite stores. The gods must want to speak with him. On the 8th, it was Pig's turn to throw a tantrum, but he didn't do very much damage. When Minoka came out of his psychite binge, he had a burst of creativity. The gods must have been saying great things to him. On the 9th, the rice harvest continued. We had a lot of food, and I am hopeful that we will survive the winter. In the evening, a woman named Missy crashed close to our settlement. I quickly tended to her wounds and carried her out to our hut. Meanwhile, Minoka finished our research into great bows and we started on smithing. On the 10th, Missy got an infection. We will care for her as long as she needs. The stress of my patient being sick got to me, and I sought the comfort of the gods in Smokeleaf. All this continued on the 10th, but Minoka went into a daze. On the 11th, Missy was able to walk again, but she decided to stay until she was fully healed. I finished communing with the gods and felt ready to face the world again. But Viper threw another tantrum. When that was done, we decided to send Pig, Viper, and Alpaca to raid a farming site. I stayed home with Minoka, who was still in a daze. On the 12th, the caravan arrived at the farming site. Together, the team lured the guards out of the camp and picked them off one by one. They then prepared to return to our city. Unfortunately, Missy had a mental break and decided to leave, but changed her mind and came back. But I didn't notice, and she ended up freezing to death outside our door. Minoka went into a daze over this, and I feel absolutely terrible. The next evening, our caravan returned, and we told them the bad news. And we were immediately raided by another Ikatan from Koko Tibet. He destroyed one of our stone-cutting tables and set another one on fire before dying in combat with us. On the 14th, it started to snow. We rushed to repair our walls, and we moved our sleeping spots into the living room to maintain warmth. We built a tailoring bench and started to make ourselves parkas. On the 15th, Minoka collapsed, and we had to rescue him. In the meantime, a local stallion went mad and attacked us. Alpaca and Viper took it down together in our doorway. Minoka had a crisis with belief. He had been dealing with withdrawals and thus felt disconnected from the gods. Thus winter began. Things slow down in winter. Without our crops to harvest and with colder temperatures threatening our tribe, we spent most of the time inside researching, tailoring, cooking, and building our chapel and wall. But here are some interesting things that happened this winter. On the 2nd day of winter, Pig proposed to Viper. I am extremely excited for this marriage. There are only 5 of us, and we currently do not have a reliable method of capturing and recruiting prisoners. So getting together and starting a family is important to the future of the colony. The fact that it's my brother is also pretty exciting. I can't wait to have little nieces and nephews running around. Also on the 2nd, we fought a warg and won. On the 10th day of winter, we finished researching smithing and selected plate armor as our next research. On the 12th day, we fought a pack of manhunter broom rats. Despite their explosive nature, no one was badly hurt. After that, we had a wanderer named Lobby join. On the 13th day, we celebrated Viper and Pig's wedding. It was a beautiful day and bodes well for the future of the colony. After the ceremony, we imprisoned Lobby to convert him to raidism. On the 15th, we built our altar, and I became the philosopher of self, and by the 1st of spring, I had made myself a tribal headdress. Thus, we survived winter and re-entered spring. We still had a lot of food from last year, so we decided to wait before growing more so as to not run out of room to store it. We decided to focus on building our wall. We started redoing our crop-growing zones, but we were interrupted by the Pill Army raiding us. We ended up downing them, but they didn't look too badly hurt, so we decided to leave them and let them crawl away. They ended up not taking that opportunity, and when they regained the ability to walk, to walk, they attacked us again. And then Viper shot them to death. From the second to the fifth day, we focused on building our wall. And on the fifth, I took Pig and Alpaca to raid a logging site. While we were gone, Viper constructed our walls and watched Winoka. She isn't good at doctoring, but we knew he wouldn't be sick long. Sure enough, by evening he was up and about. On the 6th, I arrived at the logging site with Pig and Alpaca. Side note, swamps are beautiful, and if we get to the point of needing another colony nearby, I would like us to settle in the swamp, at least for the trees. Alpaca says that will give us sleeping sickness. Back to raiding the logging site. We used our bows to shoot them from far away. We killed one and the rest fled. We looted the place for anything not tied down, and noticed that they had quite a lot of corpses around. We pulled them out of their cages and extracted their skulls to decorate our town. After that, we slept in the loggers' camp. Then on the 7th, we decided to attack a nearby farming site as well, but we changed our mind when we realized that we wouldn't be able to carry it all home. While we were on our way home, Minoka decided that our skull spikes would look better around the chapel. Honestly, I agree. We arrived home on the 9th, and I would like to end this section of our record here. Our survival, while not assured, is certainly possible, and I have faith that we will make it through many more years here at Pirates Rest.